Hello and welcome to episode 12 of the Rocket League Mapmaking short series. Today I'm going to talk about custom balls, how to spawn them, how to make them, and that's basically it, just how to make them and then how to spawn them. So first thing you need to do is go get the new dummy assets, which will be on the GitHub page, which will be in the Google Drive, and a Google Doc in the description. Just go to the description, find the Google Drive, and you'll find the episode, and then just go there, you'll find the link. After that, you should see a tab here called Game Info. Just expand that and then go to gameinfo_soccer and then fully load it. You just right click and then fully load. And this is going to take a second. Okay, after it loads, you should get an error message. Just ignore it because no one cares about error messages. And then you should see something in here, archetypes, and then just expand that and go to ball. And then you should see ball_default, which is under the tag of ball_ta. You just right click and then create sub archetype. You can also create a copy, but in my experience, when you create a copy, it makes the heavy ball. Sub archetype will make an actual like ball physics. And then you can just name it to whatever package it is. So for this, it's tutorial series version 2. And then we can go to ball_default. If I can type. You don't actually need to name this. You can name this whatever you want. I could just name it custom ball if I wanted. It doesn't matter what the name is. And then after it does its thing, and my content browser is completely messed up from Windows and stuff, so just ignore it. Yours shouldn't be that buggy. Go to tutorial series version 2, you should see something called archetypes, and then ball, and it's right here. And it also shows up right here, custom ball. If you go to the sub package, it's just going to show just the ball. And so now you've created a custom ball, and that's it, pretty much. But if we want to assign a custom mesh to this, there's a few more things we need to do. So we're going to Blender, just create a new package, and delete everything. So the custom ball size is just a default sphere in Blender, and this is how big the ball is. So if you ever need a reference, there you go. And I just kind of want to make a ball that I know is going to be different. So I guess I could just make an icosphere like this, and then just make it one subdivision so it's all pointy and it's going to have a bunch of weird collisions. Okay, so now that I have the ball that I want, you can make it absolutely anything you want. Just make sure it's small-ish. If you have a big ball, it's probably going to lag a lot. But I'm just going to export this, and then it'll import in UDK, and I'll catch you in a second. Okay, so we're going to import icosphere ball. You don't need to put in anything down here. You could pretty much leave everything default, and then disable that warning. If you still have that warning, that only happens if you reinstall UDK, which I had to do recently. But you can always ignore that warning. And then here is our sphere, just like that. Or icosphere, it's not a sphere. But you can't just put this, you can't just assign this mesh yet because it has to have collision. And if we go up here and hit show collision, there is no collision assigned to it. So to make collision, the easiest thing to do is go to collision and auto convex and then just turn everything to max. This can cause some lag, and this is why it depends on how big your model is. But if I apply that for a small model, it's going to work just fine. And you can do this in Blender too, but UDK tends to do a better job because everything has to be quads, and since this is a triangle mesh, it's going to be weird to do it in Blender, so that's why it just did it in UDK. So now that it has collision, you can see here 38 collision prisms, and to toggle that collision again, it's right here. We can go into the custom ball, and then we can assign this to the static mesh, just like that. And then if you want to add a texture, you can add a texture. Just go to materials and just add a texture. And that's pretty much it. So now we need to spawn the ball. So we made the ball and everything. It's time to spawn it. So right click on the archetype and then go to copy full name to clipboard. And then go into, go into Kismet. And I'm just going to create a new sequence called custom ball, just so everything is easily findable from all the episodes. And then we're going to create an add game ball node, and then just put it to all players. And I created that by hitting P and left click, and it'll make a players node. And then you can create an object node by hitting O and then left click, and then you should have it pasted, so just copy and then paste it just like that. So now the archetype is saved, and then now we can save the map. If you save it before this archetype right here will probably disappear. So that's why you need to put it in Kismet first, because if then it's referenced and it won't disappear. So I'm going to make it so when we hit a trigger over here in this corner, it's going to spawn the ball where I want it. So we're just going to go to trigger volume 1, vehicle, underscore TA, and then just set that to 0, 0, player client side. There we go. And then hook that up so it's going to add it. And then I'm just going to spawn it over here. So I'm just going to create a path node right there. And then right click on the pink connector and then new object variable using it. And then it'll just connect it automatically and it straightens everything out. Super nice. And then now we need to add the archetype. So right here, the ball archetype, that's what this is. So we can copy that and paste it there. And that's it. Now, there's only one problem with this now, is that if this is fine if you load the map as tutorial series version 2.upk. But in my case, I'm going to load it as Utopia. So I'm going to copy paste it just like that. And it's going to keep the nodes connected. And then I'm going to edit this archetype. And at the beginning, not editing anything else, just the tutorial series version 2. And to make that Labs Utopia P. So now if we load into Utopia, it's going to spawn it also. And you can hook these both up at the same time, because this won't crash the game. It just won't spawn anything because there's nothing there. Or it doesn't recognize it, so there's not going to spawn it. And then that's it for creating custom balls. So I'm going to load into the game and I'll show you what it looks like. Okay, so we're going to load into Utopia Retro. I'm just showing you this just so you know that the archetype works. We're going to join blue, and then we're going to go into that trigger in the corner. And it should spawn our ball, just like that. And it's also going, if you create the sub-archetype, it's also going to have the indicator and everything too. And there you go, now we have our icosphere as a ball, and it corresponds like a ball does. Now if you create a copy, it's going to make it really heavy for some reason, and it comes in useful sometimes. But if you create a sub-archetype, that's the correct way to do it, and you get an actual ball that you can use. And apparently I scored on accident, so that's fun. And that's how you create custom balls. Now, it's really simple once you know how to do it, but the UCX collision is the thing that's probably the hardest to remember, so just remember you need to add collision to it, either in UDK or in Blender. Okay, the other thing to know about custom balls is that it gives you ball cam, gives you the dynamic circle, and it also responds to trigger volumes that correspond to the ball. So if you don't remember, that cube is from Dynamic Goals, and if you hit a ball into it, then it teleports it into a goal, and you could just saw that it teleported it correctly. And that's how you create custom balls. I hope you do have some fun with this and add it to your own maps and levels. But that's it from me. So I'll see you.